The fitness standards for Delta Force selection hadn't changed in 20 years, but Lieutenant Sarah Chun had shattered every single one of them. Her record times on the obstacle course remained unbeaten. Her marksmanship scores exceeded those of veteran operators. Her psychological evaluations showed the kind of mental resilience that instructors rarely encountered. Yet when the final selection results were posted at Fort Bragg, her name was conspicuously absent from the list. The rejection letter cited concerns about team integration and operational compatibility. Military speak for reasons they couldn't officially document. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if the story touches you, make sure you're subscribed because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. What the selection board didn't know was that their decision had just created the most dangerous unauthorized operative in modern military history. The emergency briefing at the Pentagon began at 03:00 hours on a Tuesday morning that would forever change the landscape of American military intelligence operations. General Patricia Hawkins stood before a room of the nation's most senior military commanders, her usually composed demeanor betraying the gravity of the situation they faced. "Gentlemen, we have a problem that threatens to compromise every covert operation we have running in Eastern Europe," she announced, activating the classified presentation system. The first slide displayed satellite imagery of a heavily fortified compound nestled in the mountains of a hostile nation whose name couldn't be spoken aloud in most government buildings. Colonel Marcus Thompson, Director of Special Operations Command, studied the images with growing concern. The compound appeared impenetrable, surrounded by multiple layers of security that would challenge even the most experienced Special Forces teams. Electronic surveillance systems covered every approach route. Guard towers provided overlapping fields of fire across the entire perimeter. Motion sensors and infrared detection equipment created an invisible web of protection that extended far beyond the visible defenses. "Our intelligence indicates that enemy forces have captured Lieutenant James Rodriguez and Sergeant Michael Foster," General Hawkins continued, her voice carrying the weight of command decisions that could determine the fate of American soldiers. "Both men were part of a classified reconnaissance mission that went dark 72 hours ago. The implications were staggering. Rodriguez and Foster possessed detailed knowledge of American intelligence operations throughout the region. Their capture represented more than just the loss of two highly trained soldiers. It threatened to expose networks of assets, compromise ongoing missions, and potentially cost dozens of American lives." Admiral Robert Davidson, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, leaned forward in his chair. "What do we know about their current status?" "Signals intelligence suggests they're being held in the Central Detention Facility," General Hawkins replied, highlighting a specific building within the compound. "Our analysts believe they have approximately 48 hours before interrogation. Protocols extract actionable intelligence. The timeline created an impossible pressure cooker. 48 hours was insufficient for conventional rescue operations. The compound's location made air support impractical. Ground assault would require weeks of preparation and likely result in the deaths of the prisoners. Before rescue forces could penetrate the facility's defenses, Colonel Thompson activated his secure tablet and reviewed tactical assessments that had been prepared by the nation's best military strategists. "Every conventional approach we've analyzed results in mission failure with a high probability of casualty rates exceeding 60%, he reported grimly. "The compound is too well defended for direct assault. The terrain makes covert approach nearly impossible." Major General Lisa Williams, commanding officer of Army Special Operations, had spent the previous 18 hours reviewing personnel files and operational capabilities. "We've analyzed deployment options for every available Special Forces unit," she announced. "Delta Force, Navy SEALs, Green Berets, Rangers. None of our teams have the specific skill sets required for this type of infiltration mission. The room fell silent as the enormity of their situation became clear. America's most elite military units, trained for the most challenging operations imaginable, were being forced to acknowledge their limitations. The enemy compound represented a level of security that exceeded their ability to penetrate without catastrophic consequences. General Hawkins activated the next slide, showing detailed schematics of the facility's security systems. Electronic countermeasures include thermal imaging, motion detection, acoustic sensors, and electromagnetic field monitoring. The facility was designed specifically to prevent infiltration by conventional special forces. The engineering behind the compound's defenses reflected years of study of American military tactics. Enemy intelligence had analyzed every successful special forces operation of the past decade, identifying common approaches and developing countermeasures specifically designed to neutralize those methods. Colonel Thompson pulled up historical data on similar rescue operations. Our most successful infiltration missions have relied on technological superiority and overwhelming force multiplication, he explained. This facility neutralizes both advantages. Their countermeasures are too advanced for our electronic warfare capabilities, and the terrain prevents deployment of sufficient personnel. The strategic analysis painted a picture of American military power confronting its own limitations. Decades of technological advancement and tactical refinement had created special forces capable of extraordinary achievements. But this particular challenge existed outside the parameters of conventional military thinking. Admiral Davidson reviewed intelligence reports that had been flooding in throughout the night. Time-sensitive intelligence indicates that Rodriguez and Foster are being held separately, he announced. The facility is designed to prevent coordinated escape attempts and make rescue operations exponentially more difficult. The separation of the prisoners created additional complications for any potential rescue mission. Special forces teams would need to coordinate simultaneous extractions from different locations within the heavily defended compound. Multiplying the complexity and risk factors involved. Major General Williams accessed personnel databases containing detailed profiles of every available operator. We've reviewed the capabilities of our most experienced infiltration specialists, she reported. The skills required for this mission exceed the training parameters of any current Special Forces program. The admission carried profound implications for American military doctrine. Special Forces represented the pinnacle of military training and capability, yet they were encountering a challenge that exceeded their collective abilities. The enemy had successfully created conditions that neutralized America's most advanced military assets. General Hawkins displayed intelligence intercepts showing increased activity around the detention facility. Enemy communications suggest they're accelerating their interrogation timeline, she announced. We may have less than 48 hours before they extract critical intelligence. The pressure intensified as the window for action continued to shrink. Every hour of delay increased the likelihood that Rodriguez and Foster would reveal information that could compromise American operations across multiple theaters. The strategic implications extended far beyond a single rescue mission. Colonel Thompson reviewed contingency plans that had been developed for worst-case scenarios. We're facing the possibility of having to write off 2 experienced operators and assume compromise of all associated intelligence networks, he said, his voice reflecting the weight of decisions that no military commander wanted to make. This voice reflecting the weight of decisions that no military commander wanted to make. Thought of abandoning American soldiers was antithetical to everything these officers represented, but the tactical reality was becoming increasingly clear. Conventional military capabilities were insufficient for the challenge they faced. Admiral Davidson stood and walked to the presentation screen, studying the satellite imagery with the intensity of someone searching for options that didn't exist. There has to be something we're missing, he said. Some approaches we haven't considered. The room remained silent as America's most senior military commanders confronted the limitations of conventional warfare. Their silence reflected not defeat, but the recognition that this particular challenge required thinking beyond traditional military parameters. General Hawkins reviewed one final intelligence assessment that had arrived during the briefing. Our analysts conclude that successful infiltration would require capabilities that don't exist within current Special Forces training protocols, she announced. The mission parameters exceed conventional operational possibilities. The assessment represented months of analysis by the nation's best military minds. Every possible approach had been evaluated and found insufficient. The enemy compound had successfully created conditions that neutralized America's most advanced military capabilities. As the briefing concluded, the officers faced a reality that challenged their understanding of American military power. For the first time in decades, they were confronting a situation where their most elite forces were inadequate for the mission at hand. The impossible had become reality. Rodriguez and Foster needed rescue, but the means to accomplish that rescue existed outside the boundaries of conventional military thinking. Somewhere beyond the parameters of standard Special Forces training lay capabilities that could solve this crisis. But those capabilities remained invisible to two official military doctrine. The clock continued ticking toward a deadline that could reshape American intelligence operations throughout Eastern Europe. And the nation's most powerful military commanders were running out of options that existed within the bounds of conventional warfare. The secure communication that arrived at General Hawkins' office 18 hours after the Pentagon briefing came through channels that shouldn't have existed. No identification codes, no authorization headers, no routing information that could be traced through normal military networks. The message contained only coordinates and a single line of text. Compound infiltration possible. Asset available for immediate deployment. Colonel Thompson was reviewing failed contingency plans when his secure phone buzzed with an encrypted priority message from General Hawkins. "We need to meet immediately," the message read. "Conference room Delta 7. Come alone." Conference room Delta 7 was reserved for discussions that couldn't appear in any official records. Thompson had used the room perhaps 3 times in his 20-year career, each instance involving situations that challenged the boundaries of conventional military operations. General Hawkins was waiting with a folder marked only with a classification level Thompson had rarely encountered. Her expression carried a mixture of skepticism and desperate hope that reflected the impossible position they faced. "We received an offer of assistance," she announced without preamble. "Someone claiming they can accomplish the infiltration mission that our best Special Forces can't handle." Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. Thompson felt a surge of both relief and suspicion. After 18 hours of analyzing impossible scenarios, any potential solution demanded serious consideration. But offers of assistance in highly classified military operations typically came with complications that exceeded their benefits. "What kind of assistance?" he asked carefully. "And from whom?" General Hawkins opened the classified folder and withdrew a single sheet of paper containing information that made Thompson's expression shift from curiosity to confusion. According to this communication, someone with specialized infiltration capabilities wants to volunteer for the mission. The communication provided no identification, no credentials, no explanation of how the sender had obtained classified information about the rescue operation. Most disturbing of all, it demonstrated knowledge of the compound security systems that exceeded the intelligence available to official military analysts. "How did they know about the mission parameters?" Thompson asked. "This operation is classified at the highest levels. The security briefings involved less than 15 personnel." General Hawkins had spent hours trying to answer that same question. That's what concerns me most. Either we have a serious security breach, or someone has intelligence capabilities that exceed our own. The implications were troubling from multiple perspectives. If classified information about the rescue operation had been compromised, the mission was already endangered. If unknown parties possessed superior intelligence about enemy facilities, American military capabilities might be less advanced then. Leadership believed. Colonel Thompson reviewed the mysterious communication with growing amazement. This person claims they can infiltrate the compound without triggering any security systems, he noted. They provide specific details about guard rotations, sensor placements, and internal facility layouts that our intelligence doesn't have. The level of detail suggested access to information that should have been impossible to obtain. Enemy compounds were designed to prevent exactly this type of intelligence gathering. The fact that someone outside official military channels possessed such comprehensive knowledge raised questions about the effectiveness of American intelligence operations. Are we seriously considering accepting help from an unidentified source? Thompson asked. This could be an enemy deception operation designed to compromise our rescue efforts. General Hawkins had wrestled with the same concerns throughout the night. Under normal circumstances, I would reject this offer immediately, she replied. But we're facing an impossible mission with a deadline that's approaching rapidly. Rodriguez and Foster will be subjected to enhanced interrogation within 24 hours. The clock had become their most formidable enemy. Every hour of delay increased the likelihood that captured American soldiers would reveal intelligence that could compromise operations across multiple theaters. The strategic implications of inaction were becoming as troubling as the risks of accepting mysterious assistance. Thompson activated his secure tablet and reviewed the tactical assessments that had consumed the previous day. Every conventional approach results in mission failure, he acknowledged. We're literally out of options that exist within normal military parameters. The mysterious communication included proposed infiltration routes that avoided every security measure that had made the compound impenetrable to conventional forces. The suggested approach demonstrated understanding of enemy defensive protocols that exceeded anything in American intelligence databases. How could someone outside our intelligence networks know more about this facility than our own analysts? Thompson wondered aloud. The level of detail suggests direct reconnaissance that should have been impossible to conduct. General Hawkins had reached a conclusion that challenged everything she understood about military operations. Maybe we need to accept that there are capabilities operating outside official military channels, she said. Capabilities that exceed what we can accomplish through conventional means. The admission represented a fundamental shift in military thinking. For decades, American special forces had represented the pinnacle of military capability. The possibility that superior skills existed outside official training programs challenged basic assumptions about military effectiveness. Colonel Thompson studied the proposed timeline included in the mysterious communication. They claim they can complete the infiltration and extraction within 6 hours, he noted. Our best estimate suggested a minimum 12-hour operation with significant risk of detection. The proposed timeline seemed impossibly optimistic, yet the tactical analysis supporting it demonstrated understanding of infiltration, techniques that didn't exist in any military training manual. The suggested approach avoided conventional methods entirely, relying instead on capabilities that appeared almost supernatural. What do we know about infiltration specialists who might possess these kinds of abilities? Thompson asked. Are there former military personnel with training we're not aware of? General Hawkins accessed classified databases containing records of the most elite military training programs. I've reviewed files for every special operations graduate from the past decade, she replied. No one in our records possesses the specific skill sets described in this communication. The search had extended beyond American military personnel. to include intelligence operatives, private contractors, and foreign military specialists. Every inquiry had yielded the same result. The capabilities described in the mysterious offer didn't correspond to any known training program. Thompson reviewed intelligence estimates about the time frame for interrogation of the captured soldiers. If Rodriguez and Foster reveal what they know, we'll lose intelligence networks that took years to establish, he said. The strategic damage could affect American operations for the next decade. The weight of command decisions pressed down on both officers as they faced a choice between impossible alternatives: accept mysterious assistance from unknown sources or abandon American soldiers to prevent compromise of intelligence operations. "We need to make a decision," General Hawkins announced. "The communication includes instructions for establishing contact if we want to proceed." The contact protocol involved procedures that demonstrated sophisticated understanding of military communication security. The proposed meeting location was neutral ground that would allow verification of capabilities without compromising operational security. Colonel Thompson felt the weight of a decision that could reshape American military doctrine. If this person can actually accomplish what they claim, it changes everything we understand about infiltration capabilities, he said. But if it's deception, we could be walking into a trap that compromises the entire operation. General Hawkins had reached a conclusion that reflected both desperation and calculated risk assessment. "We're scheduled to brief the Joint Chiefs in 6 hours, she announced. "If we're going to pursue this option, we need to establish contact immediately." The mysterious communication had included specific instructions for response protocols. No acknowledgement through official channels, no documentation in regular military records, no involvement of personnel without appropriate clearance levels. Thompson reviewed the proposed contact procedures with professional skepticism tempered by recognition of their limited alternatives. The security protocol suggests someone with intimate knowledge of military communication procedures, he observed. This isn't an amateur operation. The sophistication of the contact arrangements indicated planning that exceeded casual opportunism. Someone had anticipated official military reluctance to accept outside assistance and had developed procedures designed to address those concerns. "Are we really going to trust an unknown party with a mission this critical?" Thompson asked. "The lives of Rodriguez and Foster depend on the capabilities of someone we can't even identify." General Hawkins stood and walked to the classified display screen showing satellite imagery of the enemy compound. "We're going to trust our own assessment of their proposed infiltration plan," she replied. "If their tactical analysis proves accurate, we'll consider proceeding." The decision represented a compromise between military caution and operational necessity. Rather than accepting assistance blindly, they would evaluate the mysterious person's actual capabilities against the requirements of the mission. Colonel Thompson activated his secure communication system and began preparing the response that would either save 2 American soldiers or lead them into an elaborate trap. "If this goes wrong, we'll be explaining to Congress how we compromised a classified rescue operation by trusting an unidentified source." The response was transmitted through encrypted channels that would leave no traceable record of official military involvement. Within minutes, confirmation arrived with coordinates for a meeting that would determine whether mysterious capabilities could succeed, where conventional military forces had failed. As the 2 officers prepared to leave Conference Room Delta 7, they carried with them the weight of a decision that challenged every protocol of military operations. They were about to discover whether expertise existed outside the boundaries of official military training, and whether that expertise could accomplish the impossible mission that threatened American intelligence operations across Eastern Europe. The clock continued ticking toward a deadline that would determine the fate of captured soldiers and potentially reshape the landscape of American military capabilities. The abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of Baltimore seemed an unlikely location. for a meeting that could determine the fate of American intelligence operations. General Hawkins and Colonel Thompson arrived at the coordinates 30 minutes before the scheduled rendezvous, accompanied by a security detail that remained invisible but vigilant, the woman who emerged from the shadows at exactly 1800 hours bore no resemblance to anyone in their mental catalog of military personnel. Average height, athletic build, dark hair pulled back in a practical style that suggested function over appearance. No visible weapons, no tactical gear, no identification of any kind. She moved with a fluid precision that spoke of training beyond conventional military parameters. "General Hawkins, Colonel Thompson," she said, her voice carrying quiet confidence that didn't announce itself, but commanded attention nonetheless. "Thank you for responding to my communication." Thompson's first instinct was skepticism mixed with professional curiosity. The woman appeared unremarkable until you observed her movement patterns and the way her eyes continuously assessed their surroundings with systematic precision that indicated advanced tactical awareness. "Before we proceed," General Hawkins said, "we need to understand who we're dealing with. Your communication demonstrated knowledge of classified information that should be impossible to obtain." The woman smiled slightly, an expression that suggested amusement rather than condescension. "My name is Sarah Chun, Lieutenant Sarah Chun, though that rank is no longer officially recognized by the United States Army." The name triggered immediate recognition in Thompson's memory. Sarah Chun had been one of the most promising candidates ever to attempt Delta Force selection. Her performance records had been extraordinary, her psychological evaluations exemplary, her tactical assessments near perfect. Yet she had been rejected from the program for reasons that remained classified. "You were rejected from Special Forces training," Thompson said, his statement carrying both recognition and confusion. "Despite performance metrics that exceeded most accepted candidates." Sarah's expression remained neutral, but something in her eyes suggested deeper currents beneath the surface. "The selection board determined that I wasn't suitable for team-based operations," she replied. "They were concerned about integration issues and unconventional approaches to tactical problems." General Hawkins accessed her secure tablet and pulled up Sarah's military records. The file contained performance evaluations that read like a catalog of exceptional achievements, yet concluded with rejection from every elite military program she had attempted to join. "Your file indicates multiple attempts to join special operations units," Hawkins noted. "Rangers, SEALs, Delta Force, Special Forces. Rejected from all of them despite superior individual performance." The pattern suggested systematic exclusion based on factors that weren't reflected in official documentation. Sarah's capabilities exceeded those of accepted candidates, yet she had been consistently deemed unsuitable for elite military service. "Military prefers operators who follow established protocols," Sarah explained. "I tend to solve problems through methods that don't appear in training manuals." Thompson studied her with growing interest. "What kind of methods?" Sarah gestured toward the warehouse environment around them. "Methods that would allow me to infiltrate this meeting location 6 different ways without triggering your security perimeter," she said. "I've been observing your team positions for the past 45 minutes. The statement sent a chill through both officers. Their security detail consisted of experienced military personnel positioned according to protocols designed to prevent exactly the kind of surveillance Sarah was describing. If she had been monitoring their positions undetected, her capabilities exceeded anything in their operational experience." Colonel Thompson activated his communication device and contacted the security team leader. "Status report on perimeter surveillance," he requested. The response confirmed their worst fears. "No contacts detected, sir. All positions are secure." Sarah watched their exchange with the patience of someone accustomed to demonstrating capabilities that challenged conventional understanding. "Your team is well positioned according to standard military doctrine," she said. But standard doctrine assumes adversaries who follow conventional patterns. General Hawkins felt a mixture of fascination and concern. Are you suggesting that our security protocols are inadequate? I'm suggesting that effective infiltration requires thinking beyond the parameters that security protocols are designed to counter, Sarah replied. The enemy compound presents challenges that conventional special forces can't address because they're trained to operate within predictable frameworks. The explanation provided insight into why Sarah had been rejected from elite military programs. Her approach to tactical problems existed outside the boundaries of conventional military thinking, creating capabilities that exceeded standard training but challenged institutional preferences for predictable methodologies. Thompson reviewed intelligence assessments of the enemy compound on his secure tablet. Our analysts conclude that infiltration is impossible without triggering multiple security systems, he said. The facility was specifically designed to counter American Special Forces tactics. Sarah nodded in acknowledgement. Because you're special. Forces use approaches that can be anticipated and countered, she said. The compound's defenses are calibrated to detect conventional infiltration methods. She produced a hand-drawn tactical diagram that showed the enemy facility in detail that exceeded anything in official intelligence databases. Guard positions, sensor placements, patrol routes, internal layouts, information that should have been impossible to obtain without extensive reconnaissance operations. How did you acquire this intelligence? General Hawkins asked, studying the diagram with amazement. Our best assets haven't been able to penetrate the facility's security perimeter. Sarah's answer revealed capabilities that challenged basic assumptions about intelligence gathering. I spent 3 days observing the compound, she said simply. Close-range reconnaissance that avoided detection through methods your assets wouldn't consider. The casual manner in which she described what should have been an impossible intelligence operation suggested skills that exceeded anything in official military training. The enemy facility was located in hostile territory surrounded by additional security measures, specifically designed to prevent reconnaissance. Colonel Thompson compared Sarah's diagram with official intelligence assessments. Your information contradicts several of our analyst conclusions, he noted. You're showing security gaps that our surveillance didn't identify. Your surveillance operates from positions that maintain safe distances, Sarah explained. Accurate intelligence requires proximity that conventional methods consider too risky. The explanation highlighted fundamental differences between official intelligence gathering and Sarah's unconventional approaches. Military doctrine prioritized safety and predictability over the kind of high-risk reconnaissance that could provide superior information. General Hawkins studied the proposed infiltration route that Sarah had sketched on her tactical diagram. This approach would require passing through multiple security zones without triggering any detection systems. She observed, "How is that possible?" Sarah's response demonstrated understanding of security systems that exceeded formal military education. Detection systems are designed to identify specific behavioral patterns, she said. Alternative movement patterns can avoid triggering sensor arrays while maintaining progress toward objectives. The tactical analysis she provided included timing, sequences, approach angles, and movement techniques that didn't appear in any Special Forces training manual. Her methods seemed to exist in spaces between conventional military doctrine and enemy countermeasures. Thompson reviewed the proposed timeline for the rescue operation. You're suggesting a 6-hour window from initial infiltration to complete extraction, he said. Our best estimates indicated 12 hours minimum with high probability of detection. Your estimates assume conventional infiltration methods, Sarah replied. Alternative approaches can reduce exposure time while increasing probability of success. The confidence in her assessment was absolute, not arrogant, but carrying the weight of someone who had analyzed the problem from perspectives that conventional military thinking hadn't considered. General Hawkins activated her communication system and contacted intelligence analysts at the Pentagon. "I'm transmitting reconnaissance data for immediate verification," she announced. "Priority assessment of facility layouts and security configurations." While they waited for official analysis of Sarah's intelligence, Thompson posed questions that had been troubling him since the meeting began. "If you possess these capabilities, why weren't you accepted into special operations programs?" Sarah's expression reflected experiences that had shaped her understanding of military institutions. "Because my methods don't conform to established protocols," she said. "Military organizations prefer predictable approaches that can be systematically taught and implemented." The institutional preference for conformity over effectiveness had resulted in Sarah's exclusion from programs that could have benefited from her unconventional capabilities. Her rejection represented systematic bias toward conventional thinking rather than objective assessment of operational effectiveness. The response from Pentagon intelligence analysts arrived within minutes, confirming details in Sarah's reconnaissance data that contradicted official assessments. Her intelligence was not only accurate, but superior to information obtained through conventional collection methods. "How many other facilities have you conducted reconnaissance on?" General Hawkins asked, beginning to understand that Sarah's capabilities extended far beyond this single operation. Enough to understand that conventional special forces are systematically excluded from missions they could successfully complete. Sarah replied, "The military rejects methods that don't conform to institutional preferences, even when those methods are more effective." Colonel Thompson felt the weight of implications that extended beyond the immediate rescue mission. "Are you suggesting that American military capabilities are artificially limited by institutional bias?" Sarah's answer challenged fundamental assumptions about military effectiveness. "I'm suggesting that the most capable individuals are often excluded from elite programs because their capabilities don't conform to institutional expectations." The conversation was interrupted by an encrypted communication from the Pentagon. "REPORTING that Rodriguez and Foster had been moved to separate detention facilities within the compound. The separation would complicate any rescue operation while increasing the urgency of the timeline. The window for extraction is closing," General Hawkins announced. "Intelligence indicates that enhanced interrogation will begin within 18 hours. Sarah reviewed the updated intelligence with the systematic analysis of someone accustomed to adapting plans based on changing circumstances. "The separation actually creates opportunities," she said. "Divided attention reduces overall security." Effectiveness. Her tactical assessment of the new challenges demonstrated flexibility that exceeded conventional military planning. Where official analysts saw increased complications, Sarah identified strategic advantages that could be exploited through unconventional approaches. As the meeting concluded, both officers faced a decision that challenged everything they understood about military capabilities and institutional effectiveness. Sarah Chun possessed skills that exceeded those of accepted Special Forces candidates, yet she had been systematically excluded from elite military programs. The choice before them wasn't just about rescuing captured soldiers. It was about acknowledging that the most effective capabilities might exist outside the boundaries of official military recognition. The secure conference room at the Pentagon buzzed with unusual activity as General Hawkins and Colonel Thompson waited for the arrival of officials who would allegedly explain Sarah Chun's true background. The meeting had been arranged through channels that carried the highest levels of classification, involving personnel whose credentials suggested involvement in programs that existed beyond normal military oversight. Dr. Amanda Richards entered. First, her identification badge displaying credentials from the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. Behind her came Colonel David Martinez from Strategic Operations Command, followed by Agent Patricia Foster from the Defense Intelligence Agency. Their collective presence suggested a briefing that would address questions about capabilities that exceeded conventional military understanding. "General Hawkins, Colonel Thompson," Dr. Richards began, settling into her chair with the confidence of someone accustomed to delivering classified briefings. "We're here to provide context about Lieutenant Sarah Chun and the program that developed her unique capabilities." Colonel Martinez activated a secure presentation system that displayed information marked with classification levels both officers had rarely encountered. "What you're about to learn is compartmented information that has been restricted to personnel with specific operational needs," he announced. The first slide revealed the existence of Project Silent Echo, a classified military research initiative that had been operational for 7 years without acknowledgement in any public documentation. The program's mission statement described advanced training methodologies designed to produce operators capable of missions that exceeded conventional special forces parameters. Agent Foster opened a classified folder containing Sarah Chun's complete military history, including records that hadn't appeared in any database accessible to General Hawkins or Colonel Thompson. "Lieutenant Chun was selected for Project Silent Echo during her initial military training," she explained. "Her rejection from conventional special forces programs was deliberate misdirection designed to protect the classified nature of her actual training." The revelation recontextualized everything they understood about Sarah's background. Her systematic exclusion from elite military programs hadn't been institutional bias or assessment failure. It had been carefully orchestrated deception designed to conceal her participation in a program that existed outside normal military recognition. Dr. Richards continued the briefing with detailed explanations of Project Silent Echo's training methodologies. The program was developed in response to emerging threats that required capabilities beyond those provided by conventional special forces training, she said. "We identified individuals with exceptional potential and subjected them to enhanced training protocols." The enhanced training protocols described in the classified presentation included methodologies that didn't exist in any standard military curriculum. Advanced infiltration techniques, enhanced situational awareness, unconventional tactical analysis, and psychological conditioning that produced operators capable of missions that would challenge the limits of human performance. Colonel Martinez displayed training records that documented Sarah's progress through programs that seemed to exist in the realm of science fiction rather than military reality. Project Silent Echo participants underwent training that pushed the boundaries of human capability, he explained. "The results exceeded our most optimistic projections." The training records showed performance metrics that surpassed anything in conventional military documentation. Infiltration exercises completed without detection by advanced security systems. Tactical problems solved through methods that defied standard military doctrine. Physical and psychological capabilities that exceeded normal human parameters. General Hawkins studied the classified documentation with growing amazement and concern. "How many operatives were trained through this program?" she asked. "And why? Wasn't this capability integrated into conventional special forces?" Agent Foster's answer revealed the complexity of managing capabilities that existed outside normal military oversight. "Project Silent Echo trained 12 operatives over 7 years, she replied. "The program was compartmented because the capabilities developed exceeded public and congressional comfort levels. The program had been designed to operate in the shadows of official military recognition, producing operatives whose abilities would challenge public understanding of military capabilities, while serving national security interests that couldn't be addressed through conventional means." Dr. Richards explained the strategic rationale behind maintaining such compartmentalization. "Enhanced human performance capabilities raise ethical and oversight questions that complicate public acknowledgement," she said. Project Silent Echo operated under authorities that allowed development of necessary capabilities while avoiding Political complications. Colonel Thompson reviewed training methodologies that seemed to blur the boundaries between military education and human experimentation. These training protocols appear to push participants beyond normal physiological and psychological limits, he observed. What were the risks and long-term effects? The question touched on aspects of Project Silent Echo that remained classified even within this briefing. Colonel Martinez's response was carefully measured, suggesting information that couldn't be fully disclosed even to personnel with appropriate clearance levels. Project participants underwent extensive medical and psychological monitoring, he replied. The training protocols were designed to enhance natural capabilities rather than create artificial modifications. The distinction seemed important for reasons that weren't fully explained in the briefing materials. Enhanced natural capabilities suggested training methodologies that remained within acceptable parameters, while artificial modifications would raise questions about human experimentation that could complicate congressional oversight. Agent Foster displayed Sarah's psychological evaluations, which showed remarkable stability despite training that would challenge most individuals' mental resilience. Lieutenant Chun demonstrated exceptional adaptation to enhanced training protocols, she noted. Her psychological profile indicates optimal integration of advanced capabilities. The evaluation suggested that Sarah had not only survived training that exceeded normal human parameters, but had thrived under conditions that would prove overwhelming for conventional military personnel. Her psychological resilience had enabled her to integrate capabilities that existed outside standard operational frameworks. General Hawkins posed questions about operational deployment of Project Silent Echo graduates. How have these enhanced operators been utilized? She asked. What types of missions have they successfully completed? Dr. Richards activated classified slides, showing mission summaries that had been heavily redacted, but suggested operations that would be impossible for conventional special forces. Facility infiltrations that avoided all security measures. Intelligence gathering that penetrated the most secure installations. Tactical operations that achieved objectives without leaving evidence of American involvement. Project Silent Echo. Operatives have successfully completed missions that conventional forces couldn't attempt, she explained. Their capabilities enable operations that serve national security interests while maintaining plausible deniability. The operational history described in the briefing suggested that Sarah Chun represented not an exceptional individual, but one member of a group of operatives whose capabilities exceeded anything acknowledged in public military documentation. Colonel Martinez addressed questions about oversight and control of enhanced operatives. Project Silent Echo participants remain under military authority, he assured. Their deployment is controlled through classified command structures that ensure appropriate utilization of their capabilities. The assurance was important for General Hawkins and Colonel Thompson, who were beginning to understand that they were dealing with capabilities that challenged conventional command and control structures. Enhanced operators required oversight, mechanisms that could accommodate abilities that exceeded normal military parameters. Agent Foster explained the authorization protocols that govern deployment of Project Silent Echo assets. Enhanced operatives can be activated for missions that exceed conventional capabilities, she said. Authorization requires approval through classified chains of command that exist parallel to normal military structures. The parallel command structures described in the briefing existed outside the awareness of most military personnel, creating a shadow military organization that could deploy enhanced capabilities when conventional forces proved insufficient. Dr. Richards addressed the specific circumstances that had led to Sarah Chun's availability for the current rescue mission. Lieutenant Chun was in standby status when the situation with Rodriguez and Foster developed, she explained. Her capabilities matched the mission requirements perfectly. The timing seemed almost too convenient, but the briefing materials provided Detailed explanations for how enhanced operatives were positioned to respond to situations that exceeded conventional military capabilities. Colonel Thompson reviewed mission parameters that would govern Sarah's deployment. What are the operational constraints for enhanced operators? He asked. Are there limitations on the methods they can employ? The question touched on ethical considerations that complicated the deployment of capabilities that exceeded normal human performance. Agent Foster's response suggested careful consideration of issues that balanced operational effectiveness against acceptable parameters for military operations. Enhanced operatives operate under rules of engagement that reflect their unique capabilities. She replied, they have the latitude to employ methods that wouldn't be available to conventional forces. General Hawkins felt relief mixed with continuing questions about oversight and accountability. Who maintains operational control during deployment? She asked. How do we ensure that enhanced capabilities are employed appropriately? Dr. Richards explained command structures that had been developed specifically to manage operatives whose abilities exceeded conventional military frameworks. Project Silent Echo maintains dedicated command personnel trained to direct enhanced operations, she said. Lieutenant Chun will operate under direct supervision through classified communication protocols. The briefing concluded with authorization, procedures that would allow Sarah Chun to proceed with the rescue mission under the authority of Project Silent Echo. General Hawkins and Colonel Thompson would serve as liaison officers, but operational control would remain with specialized command structures designed to manage enhanced capabilities. As the classified officials prepared to leave, Colonel Martinez provided final assurances about Sarah's capabilities and reliability. Lieutenant Chun represents the best of what Project Silent Echo has produced, he said. Her success rate on comparable missions is 100%. The statistic was both reassuring and troubling, suggesting capabilities so advanced that mission failure had become virtually impossible. Such perfect operational records raised questions about the nature of enhancements that could produce such consistent success. Agent Foster left behind classified communication protocols that would allow General Hawkins and Colonel Thompson to monitor the rescue operation while maintaining appropriate security for Project Silent Echo capabilities. You'll receive regular updates through encrypted channels, she promised. Dr. Richards provided final documentation that officially authorized the rescue mission under Project Silent Echo auspices. This operation is now classified under authorities that exceed normal military oversight, she announced. All personnel involved are bound by enhanced secrecy requirements. As the briefing ended, General Hawkins and Colonel Thompson found themselves part of a shadow military organization they hadn't known existed. Sarah Chun's capabilities were no longer mysterious. She was a product of advanced military research that had developed human enhancement techniques beyond public awareness. The rescue of Rodriguez and Foster would proceed under the authority of classified programs that operated parallel to conventional military structures. Sarah Chun would employ capabilities that had been developed through training methodologies that pushed the boundaries of human performance while serving national security interests that couldn't be acknowledged through normal channels. The mystery had been solved, but the solution revealed a military reality that exceeded their previous understanding of American defense capabilities. 40-8 hours after Sarah Chun successfully extracted Rodriguez and Foster from the supposedly impenetrable enemy compound, General Hawkins received a call that shattered everything she believed about Project Silent Echo. The voice on the secure line belonged to General Rebecca Morrison, Director of Military Personnel Security, whose reputation for thorough investigations was legendary throughout the Pentagon. Patricia, we need to meet immediately. General Morrison's voice carried an urgency that cut through normal military protocol. Bring Colonel Thompson. Conference Room Alpha 12. This concerns your recent classified operation. Conference Room Alpha 12 was reserved for investigations that challenged the fundamental integrity of military operations. General Hawkins had never been summoned there in her 23-year career, and the implications of such a meeting sent a chill through her professional confidence. The room was already occupied when they arrived. Inspector General Catherine Walsh sat at the head of the table, surrounded by representatives from military intelligence, internal affairs, and the Pentagon's most classified oversight divisions. Their collective presence suggested an investigation that went far beyond routine review procedures. General Hawkins, Colonel Thompson, Inspector General Walsh began without preamble. We're here to discuss serious irregularities in your recent operational authorization and the individuals who provided classified briefings about Project Silent Echo. Colonel Thompson felt the weight of institutional scrutiny that could end careers and challenge the legitimacy of everything they had accomplished. Ma'am, we followed proper protocols based on classified briefings from authorized personnel, he replied carefully. Inspector General Walsh opened a thick folder containing documentation that would reshape their understanding of recent events. That's exactly what we need to discuss, she said grimly. We have been unable to verify the existence of Project Silent Echo through any official military database or classified program registry. The statement hit the room like a physical blow. General Hawkins felt her professional foundation crumbling as she processed the implications of what they were hearing. I don't understand, she said. We received detailed briefings from DARPA, Strategic Operations Command, and Defense Intelligence Agency. General Morrison activated a secure presentation system that displayed results of comprehensive investigations into the alleged Project Silent Echo program. We've conducted exhaustive searches through every classified military research initiative of the past decade, she announced. No program matching the description you were given has ever existed. The investigation results were devastating in their thoroughness. Military research databases, classified funding records, personnel assignments, facility allocations, every aspect of government operations that would be required to support a program like Project Silent Echo showed no evidence that such an initiative had ever been authorized or implemented. Colonel James Anderson from Military Intelligence presented findings that challenged the credibility of everyone involved in the alleged briefings. The individuals who conducted your classified presentation have no record of employment with the agencies they claim to represent, he reported. Dr. Amanda Richards, Colonel David Martinez, and Agent Patricia Foster appear to have used fabricated credentials. The revelation that the entire briefing had been conducted by unauthorized personnel using false identities created security implications that extended far beyond a single operational mistake. Someone had successfully penetrated the highest levels of military security to conduct an elaborate deception operation. Inspector General Walsh displayed photographs of the 3 individuals who had conducted the false briefing. Facial recognition analysis has been unable to match these persons to any government employee database, she announced. Their identities remain completely unknown. General Hawkins struggled to process information that contradicted everything she had experienced during the classified briefings. The documentation they provided appeared authentic, she said. Classification markings, official seals, detailed technical specifications, everything suggested legitimate government authorization. Major Sarah Davidson from Pentagon Security presented analysis of the fabricated documents that had been used during the false briefings. The materials were sophisticated forgeries that replicated authentic classification systems, she explained. However, detailed examination reveals inconsistencies that indicate non-government origin. The document analysis revealed subtle errors in classification formats, outdated security protocols, and reference numbers that didn't correspond to actual government systems. The forgeries were sophisticated enough to fool casual inspection, but failed detailed scrutiny by experts familiar with authentic classified documentation. Colonel Thompson reviewed his notes from the alleged Project Silent Echo briefing, searching for details that might have indicated deception. They demonstrated comprehensive knowledge of military operations and classified procedures, he noted. How could unauthorized personnel possess such detailed understanding? Inspector General Walsh's answer raised disturbing questions about the scope of the deception operation. That's what concerns us most, she replied. The individuals who conducted this false briefing possessed information about military capabilities and procedures that should be accessible only to authorized personnel. The investigation had revealed that the false briefing contained accurate information about legitimate classified programs, suggesting that the unauthorized personnel had access to genuinely sensitive military intelligence. This raised the possibility of serious security breaches that extended beyond the fabricated Project Silent Echo presentation. General Morrison presented a timeline analysis that showed the sophisticated planning behind the deception operation. The false briefing was coordinated to coincide precisely with your operational crisis, she noted. Someone monitored your situation and prepared an elaborate response designed to gain access to your rescue mission. The timing suggested that the deception hadn't been opportunistic, but had been carefully orchestrated to exploit a specific operational vulnerability. Someone had been monitoring American military operations and had prepared an elaborate intervention designed to gain access to classified missions. Colonel Anderson displayed communication intercepts that showed unauthorized monitoring of military frequencies during the rescue operation. We detected sophisticated surveillance of your classified communications, he reported. Someone was monitoring the rescue mission in real time using equipment that exceeds standard commercial capabilities. The surveillance evidence indicated that Sarah Chun's rescue operation had been observed by parties unknown, using technology that suggested professional intelligence capabilities rather than amateur interest in military operations. Inspector General Walsh presented the most disturbing findings of the investigation. We believe you were deliberately targeted by an elaborate deception operation designed to gain access to classified military capabilities, she announced. The sophistication suggests foreign intelligence involvement. The possibility that foreign adversaries had successfully penetrated American military operations through elaborate psychological manipulation raised security implications that could affect national defense strategies. If enemy intelligence services could orchestrate such sophisticated deception operations, traditional security protocols might be inadequate. General Hawkins felt the weight of professional failure as she realized the scope of the deception that had manipulated her decisions. Are you suggesting that the entire rescue operation was compromised by foreign intelligence? She asked. Major Davidson's response revealed the complexity of assessing operations that had achieved successful outcomes through potentially compromised means. The rescue mission succeeded, she acknowledged. Rodriguez and Foster were safely extracted, but the methods used to accomplish this success remain unexplained. The paradox of successful mission completion through potentially compromised means created assessment challenges that exceeded normal military evaluation criteria. The rescue had achieved its objectives, but the true nature of the capabilities that accomplished those objectives remained unknown. Colonel Thompson posed questions about Sarah Chun's actual identity and capabilities. If Project Silent Echo doesn't exist, who is Sarah Chun? He asked. How did she possess the capabilities necessary to complete an impossible infiltration mission? Inspector General Walsh's answer revealed the continuing mystery at the heart of their investigation. That's what we're trying to determine, she replied. Sarah Chun appears to be exactly what she claimed, a former military officer rejected from Special Forces programs. But her demonstrated capabilities exceed anything in standard military training. The investigation had confirmed Sarah's basic military history while failing to explain how she had developed abilities that exceeded conventional special forces training. Her background showed no evidence of enhanced training programs or classified capability development. General Morrison presented psychological profiles that had been developed based on analysis of Sarah's demonstrated capabilities. Her infiltration method suggests training in techniques that don't exist in any known military curriculum, she noted. We're dealing with capabilities that appear to have been developed independently. The possibility that individuals could develop military capabilities that exceeded official training programs challenged basic assumptions about the relationship between institutional education and operational effectiveness. Colonel Anderson displayed evidence of similar unexplained capabilities appearing in military operations worldwide. We've identified patterns of extraordinary, individual performance in military contexts that can't be explained through standard training programs, he reported. Sarah Chun may represent a broader phenomenon. The evidence suggested that exceptional military capabilities were emerging outside traditional institutional frameworks, possibly indicating evolution in human performance that exceeded conventional understanding. Inspector General Walsh concluded the briefing with security protocols that would govern the ongoing investigation. This operation is now classified under compartmented access controls, she announced. All personnel involved are restricted from discussing these events outside authorized channels. The compartmentalization was designed to prevent compromise of an investigation that could reveal vulnerabilities in American military security while protecting operational methods that remained unexplained. As the briefing concluded, General Hawkins and Colonel Thompson faced a reality that challenged everything they understood about military operations and institutional authority. They had been deceived by an elaborate operation that demonstrated capabilities exceeding official government resources. The successful rescue of Rodriguez and Foster had been accomplished through methods that remained unexplained by individuals whose identities and motivations were unknown. Sarah Chun had demonstrated abilities that exceeded conventional military training while operating outside any recognized authority structure. The investigation continued, but the fundamental questions remained unanswered. How had unauthorized personnel conducted such sophisticated deception operations? How had Sarah Chun developed capabilities that exceeded official military training? Who was monitoring American military operations with technology that suggested professional intelligence? Compabilities? The truth was proving more complex than any official explanation could contain, and the implications extended far beyond a single rescue mission to challenge the foundations of military security and operational understanding. 3 weeks after the Pentagon investigation had exposed the elaborate deception surrounding Project Silent Echo, General Hawkins found an unmarked envelope slipped under her office door during the night shift change. Inside was a single sheet of paper with a handwritten message in familiar script. The investigation was correct about the deception, but wrong about everything else. If you want the truth, Conference Room Alpha 12, 2,200 hours. Come alone. The handwriting belonged to Sarah Chun, the woman whose unexplained capabilities had saved Rodriguez and Foster, while creating a security crisis that challenged the foundations of military operations. After weeks of unanswered questions and classified investigations, she was finally offering direct contact. At exactly 2,200 hours, General Hawkins entered the secured conference room to find Sarah waiting alone, dressed in civilian clothes that suggested someone who had deliberately stepped outside military authority structures. Her demeanor carried the same quiet confidence that had characterized their initial meeting, but now it was tempered with something that might have been regret. General Hawkins, Sarah said as she took a seat across the table, I owe you an explanation for the deception that compromised your professional standing. The admission was both relief and validation for General Hawkins, who had spent weeks questioning her own judgment and facing scrutiny from superiors. who doubted her decision-making capabilities. "So you were involved in creating the false project." "Silent echo briefing," she said. Sarah's response revealed a complexity that exceeded simple acknowledgement of deception. "I coordinated the false briefing, but not for the reasons the investigation assumes," she replied. "The deception was necessary to protect both of us from consequences that would have been far worse than temporary professional embarrassment." The explanation suggested motivations that went beyond the obvious security breach implications. Sarah had orchestrated an elaborate deception not to compromise American military operations, but to enable assistance while protecting everyone involved from outcomes that couldn't be officially acknowledged. "Why the elaborate charade?" General Hawkins asked. "Why not simply offer assistance through legitimate military channels?" Sarah's answer revealed fundamental problems with institutional military structures that created barriers to effective problem-solving. "Because legitimate military channels would have rejected my assistance and left Rodriguez and Foster to die," she said. "The military doesn't recognize capabilities that exist outside official training programs." The statement reflected experiences that had shaped Sarah's understanding of military institutions and their limitations in dealing with exceptional individual capabilities. Her systematic rejection from elite military programs had demonstrated institutional preference for conformity over effectiveness. General Hawkins leaned forward, focused on understanding the true scope of Sarah's capabilities and motivations. "If Project Silent Echo doesn't exist, how did you develop abilities that exceed conventional special forces training?" Sarah's explanation would challenge everything General Hawkins understood about human potential and military capability development. "Through necessity," she replied simply. "When conventional methods prove inadequate, you learn to develop alternatives." The response suggested that Sarah's extraordinary abilities hadn't been produced through institutional programs but had emerged from personal adaptation to challenges that exceeded conventional solutions. Her capabilities represented individual evolution rather than systematic training. "What kind of necessity could produce the abilities you demonstrated?" General Hawkins asked, genuinely curious about the origins of capabilities that had accomplished seemingly impossible missions. Sarah's answer revealed a personal history that explained both her exceptional abilities and her complicated relationship with military institutions. "Growing up in situations where survival required capabilities that didn't exist in normal civilian or military contexts," she said. "Learning to solve problems that conventional approaches couldn't address." The explanation suggested that Sarah's background had involved experiences that forced development of capabilities beyond normal human parameters. Her military training had been supplemented by life experiences that taught skills unavailable through institutional education. General Hawkins reviewed what she knew about Sarah's official military record, searching for details that might have indicated such unusual background experiences. "Your personnel file shows standard American upbringing and conventional military service," she noted. "Personnel files reflect what investigators are able to verify through normal documentation," Sarah replied. "They don't capture experiences that exist outside conventional record-keeping systems." The statement suggested that Sarah's true background involved circumstances that wouldn't appear in standard military documentation, possibly including experiences that challenged the boundaries between civilian and military life. Sarah continued, her explanation with details that revealed the complexity of developing capabilities outside institutional frameworks. "Exceptional abilities require exceptional circumstances," she said. "Most people never encounter situations that force development beyond normal human limitations." The philosophical implications of her statement suggested that human potential exceeded what was typically achieved through conventional education and training. Sarah's capabilities represented what might be possible when individuals face challenges that demanded evolution beyond normal parameters. General Hawkins posed Questions about the practical development of the specific skills that had enabled the impossible rescue mission. How did you learn infiltration techniques that exceed Special Forces training? She asked. Sarah's response revealed methodologies that existed outside traditional military education. By studying the failures of conventional approaches and developing alternatives, she explained. Security systems are designed to counter known methods. Effective infiltration requires approaches that security designers haven't anticipated. The explanation demonstrated thinking that existed outside institutional frameworks while achieving superior results through innovation rather than adherence to established protocols. Sarah's methods succeeded because they operated outside the parameters that security systems were designed to counter. The false briefing officials, General Hawkins said. The investigation couldn't identify them. Who were they? Sarah's answer revealed the extent of her personal network and the capabilities of individuals who operated outside official recognition. People who understand that sometimes the right thing requires wrong methods, she replied. Former military personnel who possess capabilities that institutions couldn't utilize effectively. The explanation suggested that Sarah wasn't operating alone, but was part of an informal network of individuals whose abilities exceeded what could be accommodated within official military structures. These people had found ways to serve national interests outside conventional authority frameworks. General Hawkins realized she was learning about a shadow military capability that existed parallel to official structures. How many others like? You are operating outside official channels, she asked. Enough to handle problems that conventional military capabilities can't solve, Sarah replied. Former Special Forces operators who were deemed unsuitable for institutional service. Intelligence personnel whose methods exceeded agency comfort levels. Technical specialists whose innovations challenged established protocols. The description painted a picture of a parallel military organization composed of individuals who had been excluded from official service despite possessing superior capabilities. These people had found ways to continue serving national interests while operating outside institutional recognition. Sarah explained the operational philosophy that governed this unofficial network. We intervene only when conventional military capabilities prove insufficient, she said. Rodriguez and Foster would have died if we had waited for institutional solutions. The intervention philosophy represented a form of patriotic service that existed outside official authority structures while serving the same national security interests that motivated conventional military operations. General Hawkins asked about oversight and accountability for operations conducted outside official military authority. How do you ensure that your capabilities are used appropriately? She asked. What prevents misuse of abilities that exceed institutional controls? Sarah's response revealed ethical frameworks that governed unofficial military operations. Self-regulation through individuals who understand the responsibilities that come with exceptional capabilities, she said. People who choose to serve despite being excluded from official recognition. The ethical framework suggested that individuals with exceptional capabilities could be trusted to exercise appropriate judgment, precisely because they operated outside institutional rewards and recognition systems. Their motivation was pure service rather than career advancement or official acknowledgement. Why reveal this to me now? General Hawkins asked. You could have remained anonymous and avoided the security investigation. Sarah's answer revealed personal motivations that went beyond operational necessity. Because you deserve to know the truth about what you were part of, she said. And because the military needs to understand that its most capable people are often excluded from service. The explanation suggested that Sarah's revelation was motivated by institutional reform rather than personal vindication. She wanted military leadership to recognize the limitations of current selection processes and the potential benefits of accommodating unconventional capabilities. General Hawkins felt the weight of information that challenged her understanding of military effectiveness and institutional limitations. What happens now? She asked. How do we address the gap between official military capabilities and the requirements of modern conflicts? Sarah's response suggested long-term changes that could reshape military institutions while preserving the benefits of exceptional individual capabilities. Recognition that effectiveness matters more than conformity, she said. Creating pathways for capabilities that don't fit conventional frameworks. The suggestion represented a fundamental shift in military thinking that would accommodate exceptional individuals while maintaining institutional effectiveness. Sarah's vision involved military organizations that could benefit from unconventional capabilities without sacrificing operational discipline. As their conversation continued, General Hawkins realized that Sarah Chun represented not just an exceptional individual, but a symbol of unrealized potential within American military capabilities. Her exclusion from official service had created unofficial capabilities that served the same national interests through different means. The rescue of Rodriguez and Foster, Sarah concluded, demonstrated what's possible when exceptional capabilities are allowed to address problems that exceed conventional solutions. The choice is whether military institutions will adapt to utilize such capabilities officially or continue to benefit from them unofficially. The choice Sarah described would determine whether American military organizations could evolve to accommodate the full spectrum of human potential, or would continue to operate with artificial limitations that excluded their most capable people. General Hawkins left the meeting with a new understanding of military effectiveness and the complex relationship between institutional authority and individual capability. Sarah Chun had revealed a world where exceptional service existed outside official recognition, where the most capable individuals served, despite being excluded from the institutions they protected. 6 months after Sarah Chun's revelation had exposed the existence of an unofficial network of exceptional military operators, General Hawkins found herself standing before a classified review board that would determine the future of American special operations doctrine. The secure conference room at the Pentagon contained the highest levels of military leadership, intelligence officials, and congressional oversight representatives who had been briefed on the implications of capabilities that existed outside institutional recognition. Secretary of Defense Michael Harrison presided over proceedings that would reshape fundamental assumptions about military effectiveness and institutional limitations. General Hawkins, he began, your report describes capabilities that challenge our understanding of human potential and military training protocols. We need to understand the implications for national security and institutional reform. The months following Sarah's revelation had been consumed by intensive investigation into the unofficial network of exceptional operators who had been serving American interests while operating outside official recognition. The scope of their activities had stunned even seasoned intelligence professionals who thought they understood the full spectrum of American military capabilities. Admiral Jennifer Collins, newly appointed Director of Special Operations Review, presented findings that documented decades of parallel military operations conducted by individuals whose capabilities exceeded official training programs. We've identified 47 separate instances over the past 8 years where unofficial operators provided critical assistance to American military objectives, she reported. The documented instances represented only the operations that could be verified through intelligence analysis. The actual scope of unofficial military activities was believed to be significantly larger, involving capabilities that operated so far outside conventional frameworks that they remained invisible to normal oversight mechanisms. General Hawkins activated a secure presentation system that displayed the comprehensive assessment she had prepared based on months of investigation into Sarah Chun's network. What we discovered challenges every assumption about the relationship between institutional training and operational effectiveness. She announced. The assessment revealed that unofficial operators had successfully completed missions that exceeded the capabilities of conventional special forces while operating without official authorization, funding, or recognition. Their success rates were higher than official operations, their methods more innovative, and their strategic impact more significant than anything achieved through institutional channels. Colonel Lisa Thompson from Military Personnel Development presented analysis of selection processes that had systematically excluded the individuals who later became the most effective unofficial operators. Our evaluation criteria prioritize conformity and institutional compatibility over innovative problem-solving and exceptional individual capability, she reported. The analysis revealed fundamental flaws in military selection processes that filtered out precisely the individuals who possessed the greatest potential for exceptional performance. Institutional bias toward predictable methodologies had resulted in the exclusion of people whose capabilities could have revolutionized American military effectiveness. Dr. Robert Martinez from the Defense Science Board provided scientific analysis of the capabilities demonstrated by unofficial operators. The performance metrics we've documented exceed normal human parameters, he explained. These individuals have developed abilities that challenge our understanding of human potential. The scientific analysis suggested that exceptional circumstances could trigger development of capabilities that remain dormant in normal populations. The unofficial operators represented examples of human potential that existed beyond conventional understanding, while remaining within the bounds of natural human capability. Sarah Chun had been invited to participate in the review proceedings. Despite the irregular nature of her status as an unofficial operator, her testimony would provide insights into capabilities that couldn't be understood through conventional analysis of institutional training programs. The fundamental misunderstanding, Sarah explained to the review board, is the assumption that exceptional capability requires institutional development. Many of the most effective operators develop their abilities outside formal training programs. Her statement challenged decades of military doctrine that assumed institutional training represented the pinnacle of human development in military contexts. Sarah's experience suggested that the most exceptional capabilities emerged from individual adaptation to extraordinary circumstances. Secretary Harrison posed questions about the practical implications of accommodating unofficial capabilities within institutional frameworks. How do we integrate exceptional individual abilities into military organizations that require standardized procedures and predictable outcomes? He asked. Sarah's response revealed the complexity of balancing individual capability with institutional effectiveness. By creating pathways that allow exceptional capabilities to serve institutional objectives without requiring conformity to standard methodologies, she replied, the solution she proposed involved parallel tracks within military organizations that could accommodate both conventional operators and exceptional individuals whose capabilities exceeded standard training parameters. This would allow institutions to benefit from the full spectrum of human potential while maintaining operational discipline. Admiral Collins presented case studies of specific missions where unofficial operators had achieved objectives that conventional forces couldn't accomplish. The rescue of Rodriguez and Foster represents just one example, she noted. Unofficial operators have been providing critical capabilities for years. The case studies documented infiltration operations that penetrated the most secure facilities, intelligence gathering that exceeded official capabilities, and tactical solutions that resolved crises beyond the reach of conventional military methods. The unofficial network had been serving American interests more effectively than many official programs. General Patricia Wilson from Joint Chiefs Planning presented a strategic analysis of the implications for future military operations. Emerging threats require capabilities that exceed current institutional parameters, she announced. We need operators who can adapt to challenges that don't exist in training manuals. The strategic analysis suggested that future conflicts would involve asymmetric challenges that couldn't be addressed through conventional military approaches. Unofficial operators represented the kind of adaptive capability that would be essential for maintaining American military superiority in evolving strategic environment. Dr. Martinez provided detailed analysis of the training methodologies that could be developed to produce capabilities similar to those demonstrated by unofficial operators. We can't replicate the extraordinary circumstances that produce these individuals, he explained, but we can create training environments that encourage similar development. The proposed training methodologies involved exposing selected candidates to challenges that exceeded normal training parameters while providing support systems that enabled exceptional development without causing psychological damage. The approach represented evolution in military education that could produce capabilities beyond current institutional limits. Colonel Thompson presented personnel selection criteria that could identify individuals with potential for exceptional development. We need to prioritize innovative thinking and adaptive capability over conformity to institutional expectations, she recommended. The revised selection criteria would fundamentally reshape military recruitment by identifying individuals whose potential exceeded what could be measured through conventional assessment methods. This approach would capture people like Sarah Chun before they were excluded from institutional service. Sarah addressed the ethical considerations that governed unofficial operator activities. Self-regulation through individuals who understand the moral weight of exceptional capability, she explained. People who choose service over recognition operate according to higher ethical standards than those motivated by institutional rewards. The ethical framework she described suggested that unofficial operators could be trusted with extraordinary capabilities precisely because they weren't motivated by conventional military incentives. Their commitment to service existed independent of official recognition or career advancement. Secretary Harrison raised questions about oversight and accountability for capabilities that exceeded institutional control mechanisms. How do we ensure appropriate use of abilities that operate outside normal command structures? He asked. Sarah's response revealed sophisticated understanding of the balance between capability and responsibility. Through selection of individuals whose moral development matches their operational capabilities, she replied. Exceptional ability requires exceptional character. The oversight philosophy she described relied on careful selection of individuals whose personal integrity could be trusted with capabilities that exceeded institutional controls. This approach represented a fundamental shift from external oversight to internal ethical development. Admiral Collins presented recommendations for institutional reforms that could accommodate exceptional capabilities while maintaining military effectiveness. We propose creating special capability development programs that operate parallel to conventional training, she announced. The proposed programs would identify individuals with exceptional potential and provide development opportunities that encouraged capabilities beyond normal military parameters. Graduates would serve in specialized roles that utilized their unique abilities while maintaining integration with conventional military operations. General Wilson outlined strategic objectives that could be achieved through integration of exceptional individual capabilities with institutional military power, combining the innovation of unofficial operators with the resources of official military organizations. She explained, the strategic vision involved leveraging exceptional individual capabilities to multiply the effectiveness of conventional military operations while maintaining the institutional discipline necessary for large-scale military effectiveness. Dr. Martinez presented timelines for implementing institutional reforms that could begin producing enhanced operators within existing military frameworks. Initial pilot programs could begin within 18 months, he reported. Full integration would require approximately 5 years. The implementation timeline provided practical pathways for transitioning from discovery of unofficial capabilities to systematic development of similar abilities within institutional frameworks. The process would allow military organizations to evolve while preserving existing effectiveness. Sarah concluded her testimony with observations about the broader implications for American military doctrine. The choice isn't between conventional and exceptional capabilities, she said. It's between utilizing the full spectrum of human potential or continuing to operate with artificial limitations. Her statement summarized the fundamental challenge facing American military institutions, whether to evolve beyond current limitations or continue excluding their most capable potential operators. Secretary Harrison addressed the political challenges of implementing reforms that would acknowledge capabilities that had operated outside official recognition. Congressional oversight requires transparency that may not be compatible with methods that operate beyond conventional frameworks. He noted, the political complexity involved balancing the need for capable military operations with requirements for democratic oversight of military activities. Exceptional capabilities created challenges for traditional accountability mechanisms. Sarah's response demonstrated understanding of the political realities that shaped military institutions. Transparency about results rather than methods. She suggested accountability for outcomes rather than conformity to established procedures. The approach she proposed would allow democratic oversight of military effectiveness, while preserving operational flexibility necessary for exceptional capabilities to function effectively. As the review proceedings concluded, the board faced decisions that would determine whether American military institutions could evolve to accommodate the full spectrum of human potential or would continue operating with limitations that excluded their most capable people. The recommendations that emerged from the review process represented fundamental shifts in military doctrine, selection criteria, training methodologies, and operational frameworks. Implementation would require institutional courage to move beyond conventional assumptions about human capability and military effectiveness. 6 months later, the first Special Capability Development Program began operations at a classified facility, designed to nurture exceptional individual potential while maintaining integration with conventional military structures. Sarah Chun served as a consultant to the program, helping to identify and develop capabilities that had previously existed only outside official recognition. The program represented acknowledgement that institutional military power could be enhanced, rather than threatened by exceptional individual capabilities. The false choice between conformity and effectiveness had been replaced by integration that utilized the full spectrum of human potential in service of American national security. Rodriguez and Foster, whose rescue had initiated the discovery of unofficial operator capabilities, were among the first graduates of programs designed to develop exceptional abilities within institutional frameworks. Their experience as prisoners had convinced them that American military superiority required capabilities that exceeded conventional training parameters. The rescue mission that had begun as an impossible crisis had evolved into institutional transformation that would reshape American military capabilities for decades to come. Sarah Chun's rejection from conventional special forces programs had ultimately led to recognition that the most capable individuals were often excluded from the institutions they could serve most effectively. The broader implications extended beyond military organizations to challenge assumptions about human potential and institutional effectiveness across all areas of American society. The discovery that exceptional capabilities existed outside institutional recognition suggested that many organizations were operating with artificial limitations that excluded their most capable potential contributors. The story of Sarah Chun had become more than an account of individual exceptional capability. It represented a paradigm shift in understanding the relationship between institutions and individual potential, demonstrating that true organizational effectiveness required accommodation of capabilities that exceeded conventional frameworks rather than exclusion of people who didn't conform to established expectations. The future of American military power would be determined by the willingness of institutions to evolve beyond their current limitations and embrace the full spectrum of human potential in service of national security objectives. Sarah Chun's journey from rejected candidate to institutional reformer has proven that the most transformative changes often come from those who operate outside conventional recognition while serving the same essential purposes through different means. The resolution of her story marked not an ending, but a beginning of institutional evolution that would determine whether American military organizations could adapt to utilize their most exceptional people or would continue to benefit from their capabilities only through unofficial channels that operated beyond institutional recognition and control. 5 years after the first Special Capability Development Program graduated its inaugural class, Lieutenant Colonel Sarah Chun stood before a gathering that would have been impossible to imagine during her days of systematic rejection from elite military units. The Advanced Training Facility at Fort Liberty hosted representatives from every branch of the American military, allied nations seeking to understand revolutionary training methodologies, and congressional oversight committees witnessing the transformation of military capability development. The ceremony marked the graduation of the 5th cohort of enhanced operators, individuals whose capabilities now exceeded anything previously achieved through conventional military training. What had begun as an emergency response to Sarah's unofficial network had evolved into a systematic revolution in how America developed and deployed its most exceptional military talent. General Patricia Hawkins, now Director of Advanced Military Capabilities, delivered opening remarks that acknowledged the journey from crisis to transformation. 5 years ago, we discovered that our most capable operators were serving outside official recognition, she announced. Today, we graduate individuals whose abilities represent the future of American military superiority. The transformation had not been without challenges. Congressional hearings had questioned the ethics of developing capabilities that exceeded normal human parameters. Military traditionalists had argued that institutional discipline required conformity rather than exceptional individual performance. International observers had raised concerns about the implications of enhanced military capabilities for global strategic balance. Sarah's role had evolved from unofficial operator to institutional architect, designing training methodologies that could systematically develop capabilities she had achieved through extraordinary personal circumstances. The process had required careful analysis of how exceptional abilities emerged and could be nurtured without causing psychological damage or institutional disruption. Dr. Robert Martinez, now leading the Exceptional Performance Research Division, presented scientific analysis of the capabilities achieved by program graduates. We have documented performance metrics that exceed baseline human capability by factors that were previously considered impossible, he reported. Yet these achievements remain within the bounds of natural human potential. The research had revealed that human capability existed on spectrums far broader than conventional training had explored. Enhanced operators represented examples of potential that existed in broader populations, but remained undeveloped due to limitations in training methodologies and institutional expectations. Colonel Lisa Thompson, Director of Enhanced Selection Protocols, addressed the fundamental changes in military recruitment that had emerged from recognizing the limitations of conventional assessment methods. We now prioritize adaptive intelligence and innovative problem-solving over conformity to established patterns, she explained. The new selection criteria had revolutionized military recruitment by identifying individuals whose potential exceeded what could be measured through traditional evaluation methods. The approach captured people who would have been excluded under previous systems, while maintaining the character standards essential for military service. Sarah took the podium to address the graduating class, individuals whose achievements represented the culmination of institutional evolution that had begun with her exclusion from conventional special forces programs. You represent proof that human potential exceeds institutional limitations when given appropriate opportunities for development. She told them the graduates had achieved capabilities that surpassed the performance of conventional special forces, while maintaining integration with broader military operations. Their success demonstrated that exceptional individual abilities could enhance rather than threaten institutional effectiveness when properly developed and deployed. Major James Rodriguez, the former prisoner whose rescue had initiated the discovery of unofficial operator capabilities, addressed the ceremony as one of the program's most successful graduates. The capabilities we've developed through this program exceed anything I experienced during conventional special forces training, he said. Rodriguez had become a symbol of transformation possible when exceptional training methodologies were applied to individuals with appropriate potential. His journey from captured soldier to enhanced operator demonstrated the evolution in American military capability development. Sergeant Michael Foster, Rodriguez's fellow former prisoner, had similarly graduated from the enhanced training program and now served as an instructor, developing the next generation of exceptional operators. The program taught us to think beyond conventional limitations, while maintaining the discipline essential for military effectiveness. He explained that the testimonials from early program participants had been crucial for gaining institutional acceptance of training methodologies that challenged traditional military education. Their success had demonstrated that enhanced capabilities could be developed without compromising military discipline or institutional effectiveness. Admiral Jennifer Collins presented a strategic analysis of how enhanced operators had been deployed in real-world operations over the previous 3 years. Enhanced capabilities have achieved mission success rates of 97% in operations where conventional forces had assessed success probability below 60%. She reported, the operational statistics demonstrated that enhanced training methodologies produced not just exceptional individual performance but significantly improved mission outcomes that served broader American strategic interests. The capabilities were proving their value through practical application rather than theoretical potential. Sarah addressed questions about the international implications of American development of enhanced military capabilities. Other nations are developing similar programs based on recognition that future conflicts will require capabilities beyond conventional parameters. She noted, the international response had been predictable. Allied nations sought cooperation in developing enhanced capabilities, while potential adversaries accelerated their own research into human performance enhancement. The development had created new dynamics in global military competition. Dr. Martinez presented research findings about the broader applications of enhanced training methodologies beyond military contexts. The principles we've developed for military enhancement have applications in civilian emergency response, scientific research, and technological innovation. He explained that the civilian application suggested that enhanced human capability development could benefit American society beyond military advantages. Emergency responders with enhanced situational awareness, researchers with improved analytical capabilities, and innovators with expanded creative potential could multiply American advantages across multiple domains. General Wilson addressed the long-term vision for enhanced capability development within American military institutions. We envision integration of enhanced operators at every level of military operations, from tactical units to strategic planning organizations. She announced that the integration plan represented systematic transformation of American military capabilities. Rather than creation of elite units operating in isolation from conventional forces, enhanced operators would multiply the effectiveness of existing military structures while maintaining institutional cohesion. Sarah concluded her address by reflecting on the journey from individual exclusion to institutional transformation. The rejection that seemed like personal failure became the catalyst for discovering capabilities that exceeded institutional recognition, she said. Sometimes the most important contributions come from those who operate outside conventional expectations. Her reflection captured the broader implications of the transformation that had occurred. Individual exclusion had revealed institutional limitations that, when addressed, produced capabilities that exceeded anything achieved through conventional approaches. The ceremony concluded with the presentation of operational assignments for graduating enhanced operators. Unlike conventional military assignments, these positions had been specifically designed to utilize exceptional capabilities while maintaining integration with broader military operations. The assignments included infiltration specialists working with conventional special forces units, strategic analysts enhancing intelligence operations, tactical innovators developing new operational methodologies, and training instructors preparing the next generation of enhanced operators. Each assignment represented careful integration of enhanced capabilities with existing military structures, ensuring that exceptional individual abilities served institutional objectives while maintaining operational effectiveness across all levels of military operations. As the ceremony concluded, participants departed with understanding that they had witnessed transformation that extended far beyond military training reform. The development of enhanced human capabilities represented evolution in American strategic advantages that would influence global competition for decades to come. Sarah remained behind to meet with international observers who sought to understand the implications of American enhanced capability development for their own national security strategies. The conversations revealed global recognition that future military superiority would require capabilities that exceeded conventional training parameters. The discussions also addressed ethical frameworks that governed enhanced capability development, ensuring that improvements in human performance served humanitarian objectives while maintaining strategic advantages essential for national security. Later that evening, Sarah walked through the training facility where the next cohort of enhanced operators was beginning their development process. The individuals showed potential that would have been excluded under previous selection criteria, but now represented the future of American military capability. The facility itself had been designed based on understanding that enhanced capability development required environments that challenged conventional limitations, while providing support systems necessary for psychological and physical development beyond normal parameters. Sarah's office contained communications from former unofficial operators who had chosen to remain outside institutional frameworks while maintaining cooperation with enhanced development programs. Their continued existence ensured that exceptional capabilities would continue evolving beyond what could be systematically developed through institutional methods. The unofficial network had evolved into a resource for innovation and capability development that complemented rather than competed with institutional programs. This parallel development ensured continued evolution of exceptional abilities, while maintaining institutional benefits of systematic training and deployment. As she reviewed reports on global enhanced capability development, Sarah recognized that the transformation she had initiated was spreading beyond American military institutions. The principles of enhanced human development were being applied in contexts that could reshape human potential across multiple domains of human activity. The legacy of her rejection from conventional special forces programs had become a transformation in understanding human potential that extended far beyond military applications. The discovery that exceptional capabilities existed outside institutional recognition had challenged assumptions about human development across all areas of society. 5 years after the rescue of Rodriguez and Foster had revealed the existence of unofficial military capabilities, the implications continued expanding into areas that would determine the future of human achievement and institutional effectiveness. Sarah Chun's journey from rejected candidate to institutional revolutionary had become a catalyst for recognizing and developing human potential that had previously remained hidden. Beyond conventional expectations, the final legacy of her story was not just transformation of military capability, but recognition that human potential exceeded institutional limitations across all areas of human endeavor. The question for the future was whether other institutions would evolve to accommodate exceptional capabilities or would continue operating with artificial limitations that excluded their most capable potential contributors. The answer to that question would determine whether Sarah's transformation of military institutions represented an isolated example or the beginning of broader societal evolution toward recognition and development of human potential that exceeded conventional understanding and institutional limitations. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hits the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.